Hello everyone, in this video I will be discussing linked lists. So what are linked lists? Linked lists are lists that contain elements called nodes. And each node in your linked list has a value called data, and it points to the next element of your linked list. Now, linked lists are very important when it comes to algorithms and developing queues and stacks, which in terms of queues have a first in, first out basis in which the first element put inside the queue is the first element you take out, and stacks have a last in, first out basis in which the last element you put into the stack is the first element that's taken out. So let's just jump right into it. So we'll first need to define a class that represents our linked list. So let's say class linked list, and let's define the constructor init. And within the constructor, we'll say that the head of this linked list is none. Now let's create a representation for each node of our linked list. So class node. Let's define the constructor. And for the constructor of this, we'll set the data equal to the data that's being passed when you initialize this object, and the next will be none. And let's also create some string representations of this data so that we can actually see it once we're running our code. So for the node, our representation will look as so. We'll just return the data that we're holding. And for our linked list, our representation will be a little more complicated, but not hard. We'll need to iterate through each element of our linked list and display them. So the first node will be self.head, and we'll create an array to represent all of our nodes. Change that to nodes. And let's create a while loop. So while node is not equal to none, so while the node that we're looking at is still a node that's been created, we'll append to the nodes array nodes.append node.data. And then we'll set this node to the next node in the list. And if there is no node in the next, if there is no next node, then it'll be set to none. And at the very end, we want to append none to the end of our list. So we'll say nodes.append node. Now, why are we saying node instead of none? Well, after this while loop is done, node will always equal none, or else the while loop will never finish. And let's just return a string representation of this list. All right. So now we can save and see how this works. So hop into your terminal. You can type in Python. And then let's run this main.py file in interactive mode. And the way we can do that is we can just say exec open main.py .read. All right, now let's initialize a list. So my list is equal to linked list, and we don't pass anything to the constructor. So our head is none. Let's just look at it. As you can see, the head of this linked list is none. So let's create a node and let's add it to this linked list. So node 1 is equal to node. Let's pass in the digit 1. and then let's add this. So my list dot head is equal to node 1. Now let's look at my list. As you can see, the first node of our linked list is 1, as we've set in node 1, and then the next node is none. So let's create a few more nodes and let's just add them to this linked list like we've been doing. So node 2, let's set equal to 2 as a string, and then we can say my list dot head dot next equals node 2. And let's look at my list, see how it looks now. So now the head is 1 still, and the next node of that head is 2, and the next node of that second head, or next node of that second node, is none. Let's create a third one. Node 3 is equal to node, let's create a string, call it 3. Let's create a fourth. Node 4 is equal to node 4. Node 2 dot next is equal to node 3. We're adding in node 3 into the linked list. And node 3 dot next is equal to node 4. Now let's look at the entire list with our 5 nodes, including the none at the end. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and none at the end. Alright, so that's basically how you can implement a linked list into your code. This is very useful in terms of data structures and algorithms. So you'll definitely see this a lot if you're working heavily in those fields. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I'll see you in the next one. This has been STEAM Code. Bye.